The town of Farmington. Respecting history, planning the future.
Good evening. I'd like to call the annual town meeting of April 19th, 2021 to order. And I'm going to ask for a waiving of the reading of the warning. But before I do that, I'm just going to summarize the items that we're going to be discussing tonight. We're going to be considering the annual report, the budget recommended by the town council, an appropriation of $1,284,000 for repair of the IAR roof, recommendation of the town council to appropriate $450,000 for partial replacement of the roof at No Wallace School, and $2 million for road repair. And then we will be adjourning to referendum. And those are the items to come before us tonight. Can I have a motion to waive the reading of the warning? So moved. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now I'd like to have a motion for nominations for moderator. Yes. Nominate Mr. Christian Holhead. Thank you. Is there a second? Any other nominations? Hearing none. All in favor of Mr. Hoheb for moderator? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Hoheb.
Thank you, Mrs. Ray. My name is Christian Hoeb. I'm pleased to serve as your moderator this evening. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag's over here. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin, I'm just going to take a moment to go off script and say a thank you to our Board of Education folks, our town council folks, many of whom are at home for COVID reasons, but they have collaborated very well. They've volunteered countless hours to serve this community. They're volunteers, and I don't think it's ever out of style to thank them for their efforts and their contributions. They could easily be home tonight, enjoying dinner with their family or watching the Yankees lose again, but they're here tonight and by Zoom, and they've just put in a tremendous amount of time. So I wanted to just, again, depart from the script and thank them for their efforts in the community. So your decision tonight on the town's operating budget for 2021-2022 is not final until approved or rejected by voters at the polls on April 29, 2021. Please note that the voters in the referendum on that date cannot change the budget. You can simply vote yes or no. If a majority of those on April 29, 2021 reject the budget and the number of those voting equals at least 15% of the number of registered electors, the town council recommends a second budget which must be lower than the budget rejected at the referendum, and then goes to the second town meeting and second referendum. If the second recommended budget is rejected at the referendum, the council shall meet and shall adopt a budget for the upcoming fiscal year, which shall be lower than the second recommended budget. Typically, in discussing the protocol for this evening, I would review the ability to increase, decrease, or authorize additional appropriations, but the basic requirement of that is that we have at least 300 voters present, and since we clearly do not have that number, I'm going to just skip that portion of the protocol. We have 6 items on the agenda tonight. 6. First, that the town report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020 be approved. Second, that the budget recommended by the town council for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2021 be approved. Third, that the town of Farmington appropriate $1,284,000 for costs related to the design and implementation of an expansion of the cafeteria at the Irving A. Robbins Middle School and related work and improvements. Fourth, that the town of Farmington appropriate $450,000 for the Noah Wallace School partial roof replacement project. Fifth, that the town of Farmington appropriate $2 million for repairs to and construction of various town roads and drainage systems. And then last, number 6, to consider and act upon any business which may properly come before this meeting. We will consider each agenda item separately. To place each of these items before you, I'll call for a motion and a second. I'll then ask the appropriate town officials to describe the item for informational purposes. I will then recognize anyone who wishes to speak on the motion before us. I ask you to go to one of the microphones in the aisles and begin by stating your name and address for the record. If you have a question, please direct the question to me as moderator and indicate whom you would like to answer it. Please confine your questions to the topic under discussion and do not enter into a debate. If the comment or question is not germane to the topic at issue, I will rule it out of order. If a number of speakers wish to be recognized, I may set a time limit, although I think that might be unlikely this evening. I'll call for a motion to adjourn the meeting to a referendum to be held at the regular polling places on April 29th, 2021, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. Does anyone have any questions? Comments? Okay. Motion number one. May I have a motion move the first item contained in the warning that the town report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020 be approved? Do we have a motion? Help me out. And a second. Is there any further discussion? I'm now going to call for a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion two. May I have a motion to move the second item contained in the warning that the budget recommended by the town council for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2021 be approved. I'll now call upon C.J. Thomas, Chair of the Town Council, Kathleen Blonsky, Town Manager, and Kathleen Greeter, Superintendent of Schools, to begin their presentations. Mr. Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Hood. Good evening and welcome to the annual town meeting of the Town Council's fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. Through a quirk in our town charter, we are one of the few towns that actually have this town meeting and a budget referendum. Perhaps we can look into that at some point in the future. This year, the decision that the Town Council made pertaining to the budget were based on a number of factors, including the town's strategic plan, long-term financial needs, and the current economic climate. Our overall goal is to maintain excellent services and schools while being fiscally responsible and proactively planning for the future needs of the town, needs such as this building we're in right now, the high school. Prior to this presentation, the budget went through a number of reviews and adjustments. At the beginning of the year, departments throughout the town presented their requests. The Town Council set an expenditure target of less than 3% increase on both the Town and Board of Education side at its January 12th, 2021 meeting. The budget target is in line with our long-term forecasts. A public hearing was held on the town manager's proposed 7-year capital improvement plan on February 23rd, 2021. This plan also included capital for the Board of Education. A public hearing was held on the town manager's recommended operating budget on March 9th, 2021. The town council held workshops on March 10th, 11th, and 13th to finalize our budget. The town council made the following changes to the town manager's budget. We reduced the Board of Education capital budget by $710,000. We reduced the town capital budget by $370,000. We reduced the Board of Education operating budget by $700,000. We reduced the debt by $130,000. We increased other property taxes by $25,000. These changes led to our capital improvement projects being 2.7% of our total budget. The town side increased 2.99%, and the Board of Education increased 3.3%. The Town Council approved this budget unanimously March 13th at our final budget workshop meeting, and the changes were incorporated to create the Town Council's proposed budget. The Town Council held a public hearing on April 5th, 2021 on the Town Council's proposed budget and unanimously approved this with no additional changes. The budget then became the Town Council's recommended budget. After tonight's annual town meeting, after we adjourn, we will go to a referendum vote on April 29th, 2021. As many of you remember, last year's budget was far from normal. It was modified by executive order of Governor Lamont. There were explicit restrictions on holding this town meeting as well as a budget referendum due to COVID-19. As a result, the Town Council set the budget and tax rate. At our May 12, 2020 Town Council public meeting, due to both the economic hardship to our taxpayers and the unknown impact of the pandemic, the Council adopted a fiscal year 2020-2021 budget with a 0% tax increase. This year, the general fund budget will require a property tax rate of 28.81 mil, which is a 0.84 mil increase, or a 2.99% tax increase. In other words, for $100,000 of home value, you would be paying $2,881 in taxes. The bottom line is that the increase for the average homeowner, which is a home valued at $226,777, your increase would be $189.79. The budget is also including 3 critical bonding issues, which are moving our infrastructure projects forward. $2 million for road reconstruction, which will enable us to keep to our plan and continue road repairs and construction plans. A $1,284,000 Irving A. Robin Middle School cafeteria addition and renovation plan, and $450,000 for a partial roof replacement at Noah Wallace School. The 2 school projects are included in through the K-8 plan. Both the town and the Board of Education have worked for a number of years to complete this K-9 long-term plan. This year has been an incredible challenge to all of us. I would like to thank particularly the town and Board of Education employees for their hard work and diligence throughout this period. I would also like to thank all the volunteers and elected officials for stepping up in difficult times to make them just a little less difficult. But most of all, I would like to thank all of the citizens of Unionville and Farmington. You've done a tremendous job of following all our health guidelines, supporting our local businesses, and most importantly, looking out for your neighbors who are in need. I feel certain that we're much closer to the end of all this than we felt last year. And I'm truly looking forward to the time where we can all gather together and celebrate without any concern of numbers of people or our social distance. With that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Kathy Blonsky, our town manager, and Kathy Greta, the school superintendent of schools, who will present details on the budget.
Thank you, CJ. I present for your review the Town Council's recommended budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. Along with the Town Council's budget target, the town strategic plan, the town's capital improvement policy, and our long-term financial forecast were the policy guidelines at the forefront when formulating this budget. The budget building process focused on the following funding themes: maintain current service levels, fund mandated expenses, and increase current capital funding levels. I will now review the Town Council's recommended budget. The general fund budget includes the proposed spending for the town, for the school system, for debt service, and for capital improvements. The proposed budget for Westwood's Golf Course, the Recreation Fund, and the solid waste collection and disposal are also included. The budget is broken down into 3 categories: expenditures, grand list, and revenues, which are used to develop a tax rate. Expenditures. The total proposed budget for fiscal year 21-22 is $116,100,530, an increase of $4,166,280, or 3.72% above the current budget. Budget drivers. This year, we are faced with several high-cost issues that are driving up cost. At the same time, we have been seeing savings in some accounts that have helped offset those increases. Budget drivers include, but are not limited to, the funding requirements of the pension fund, the Police Accountability Act, and fully funding 3 positions that were only funded for half a year in the current budget. Budget savings. As mentioned, there are savings in other accounts that help offset the budget drivers. The health insurance account has seen a reduction due to favorable renewal terms, and several retirements over the past few years have reduced department-wide personnel costs since the town generally fills those vacant positions at a lower rate. Town operations. The Town Council's proposed town budget is $32,317,083, an increase of $938,846, or 2.99% above current expenditures. The General Fund General Administration account has increased 9.10%. Public Safety has increased 1.96%. Public Works has increased 0.23%. Community and Recreation has increased 3.79%, and the other account has increased 0.79%, for a total of 2.99%. Town expenditures by object. I've also separated the budget by object, which includes salaries, benefits, supplies, equipment, contractual, and utilities. The increases and decreases for the following object are as follows. The salaries have increased 4.51%. The benefits have increased 0.85%. The supplies have decreased 2.84%. Equipment has decreased 5.04%. Contractual has increased 3.88%, and utilities have increased 2.22%. The proposed total general fund appropriation is $32,317,083, which is a 2.99% increase above the current budget. Debt. The debt group of accounts includes appropriations to make principal and interest payments on the town's long-term debt. The total proposed amount for next fiscal year is $8,272,347. This is a decrease of $565,102, or 6.39% less than the current year. Refuse. The refuse collection budget includes the cost of collecting and disposing of solid, bulky, and hazardous waste generated by town residents and the town's landfill operation. This budget proposes a rate increase of $19. The annual fee will be $254 per household. Capital projects. Capital projects are funded through the general fund, other, and reappropriations. To support the first year of the capital improvement plan is $3,647,166. Last year, due to COVID-19 and financial uncertainties, the town significantly reduced capital expenditures. This CIP attempts to make up for the minimal capital budget in fiscal year 21. Shown is the complete Board of Education and town capital projects. Bonding. The first year of the capital plan recommends 3 bond questions for a total of $3,734,000. Kathy Greeter, Superintendent of Schools, will review the Board of Education bond questions in her presentation later tonight. I will also review each of the bond questions in more detail when the moderator calls for a motion on each of the bonding items contained in the warning. Expenditure summary. In summary, the total proposed budget for fiscal year 21-22 is $116,100,530, an increase of $4,166,280, or 3.72% above the current budget. The Board of Education account includes an appropriation of $72,288,934, an increase of 3.30% above the current year's budget. I will now call on Kathy Greeter, Superintendent of Schools, to present the Board of Education budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. It's my pleasure to present the 2021-2022 Board of Education's budget this evening. The budget development process in Farmington is grounded in our strategic improvement documents each year. Our mission, our vision of the global citizen, framework for teaching and learning, core beliefs, and our equity framework. This alignment is critical because our financial plan must advance the implementation of these visionary core improvement documents. From initial school submissions to the refinement of our operating budget through school and program reviews of all requests, zero-based budgeting practices were utilized. Slide. This slide provides a summary of the Board of Education's 2021-2022 operating budget. The first budget driver is salaries. This series accounts for 65.65% of the total budget. The budget increase in the salary line is 2.44% and reflects negotiated contractual obligations with all Board of Education associations. The next budget driver is insurance with a 3.56% increase. This series accounts for 16.78% of the total budget. The account provides for 100% of expected paid claims and the administration of employee health insurance. All associations have a high deductible HSA with co-insurance. Services is the next major budget driver. This series accounts for 14.29% of the total budget. There's a 7.26% increase in this series due to an increase in mandated special services tuition outplacements due to unanticipated and new student enrollment, reinstatement of major facility projects and K-8 summer school that were both reduced in the 2020-2021 budget, and the negotiated contract for transportation services. The next major budget driver is supplies, which accounts for 2.53% of the total budget. The supplies series reflects a negative 1.68% decrease. This account provides for facilities used in swimming and ice hockey competitions. It also provides for a purchase of a wide-ranging group of items such as instructional, health, custodial, computer, testing supplies, text and library books, and AV computer materials. The equipment series reflects a percentage increase of 32.89%. This series accounts for only 0.38% of the total budget. The major drivers of this increase are the restoration of funding for technology and the addition of technology equipment related to a transition to a take-home one-to-one approach accelerated due to the pandemic. This account also provides for facility equipment. The district has prioritized all potential technology and facility purchases within this budget. The dues and fees series shows an increase of 11.2% due to equity enhancements aligned to our equity framework. The series accounts for only 0.36% of the total budget. This account also includes Town of Farmington's negotiated liability, umbrella, and motor vehicle insurance for a total budget request of $72,288,934. This is an increase of $2,312,353, which is a percent increase over the 2020-2021 budget of 3.3%. Slide. This slide provides an overview of the Board of Education's capital budget, including 2 bonding questions. The capital projects listed on this slide reflect our K-8 facility review recommendations, roof replacement plan, safety and security needs, as well as other facility-related items that are included in our short and long-term planning documents. The total funding for capital non-bonding general fund projects listed on this slide for the Board of Education within the 2021-2022 capital improvement budget is $1,487,166. The first bonding question includes $1,284,000 for the IAR cafeteria expansion renovation. To expand the undersized IAR cafeteria to line to current and projected enrollment. The design costs are estimated at $84,000, with the remaining $1.2 million for construction costs. The current cafeteria seats 160 students at a time, with a current school enrollment of approximately 690 students. Even with 4 lunch waves, alternate eating spaces, such as corridors, are required. Current academic scheduling at IAR has middle school students in 6 classes per day and a longer midday block to accommodate the 4 lunch waves, study halls, and some electives, where we lose valuable instructional time due to the size of the cafeteria. The ability to condense this midday period to the state standard of 3 lunch waves with the IAR cafeteria expansion will allow for a more effective academic scheduling for our 7th and 8th graders. The existing footprint of the cafeteria is 2,100 square feet, serving 160 students at a time. Our design goal will be able to accommodate 240 students seated for lunch, increasing the space to 3,600 square feet, which is an addition of 1,500 square feet. This project will address overcrowding in the cafeteria, improve food services each day, and create improvements in the academic programming due to more efficient scheduling with an expanded cafeteria. The project will also expand community use of this space for events and other use. This project is part of our K-8 facility review recommendations. The second bonding question includes $450,000 for a Noah Wallace partial roof to replace the last 2 sections, A and B, of the Noah Wallace roof per our roof replacement plan. The current gravel surfaced build-up roofs will be replaced with EPDM membrane roofs. The areas are approximately 13,800 square feet in total. These sections were installed in 1999, currently 22 years old, while the remainder of the roof, sections C through F, were replaced in 2010. The 2 sections are beyond the life expectancy of a roof of this type. An EPDM replacement would carry a 30-year expectancy. A 2016 roof condition report characterized this roof section as fair, indicating the need to prioritize the replacement prior to failures. The scope of the work of this project will include demolition and removal of the existing built-up roof and roof installation of a new roof installation, pitch to code, and new EPDM roofing system, replacement of 3 roof drains that are incompatible with EPDM roofing, replacement of 3 skylights, and the restoration of a masonry chimney. This concludes the Board of Education's presentation. I'll now turn the presentation back to our town manager, Kathy Blonsky. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kathy. The grand list. The grand list is broken down into 3 categories: real estate, personal property, and motor vehicles. The real estate account shows a 0.60% increase, the personal property account shows a 0.82% increase, and the motor vehicles account shows a 5.02% increase. In summary, the grand list increased by 0.90%, or $33,254,381, for a total grand list of $3,733,221,458. Revenues. I've broken revenues down into 9 categories: other property taxes, license and permits, fines and penalties, interest, grants, service charges, others, Westwood's contribution, and CIP. In summary, projected non-tax revenues are $9,636,947, or a 1.61% decrease over the current year. The proposed tax and mill rate. The proposed general fund budget will require a property tax rate of 28.81 mils, an increase of 0.84 mils, or a 2.99% tax increase. The average homeowner will see an additional $189.82 to their taxes. In other words, $100,000 of assessed value equals $2,281 in taxes. Shown is the cost of the average homeowner with a house assessed at $226,777. The referendum vote is Thursday, April 29th, 2019, at your regular polling places. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now is the opportunity to ask any questions. I ask that there are microphones in each aisle on the end. State your name and your address and designate who you'd like to answer the question. Questions? Comments? Anyone? Yes, sir.
Donald Doobie, 94 Oak Ridge. I think it's a fiscally responsible budget, and I have no specific concerns on what's been presented. I recognize that the high school referendum is not for discussion tonight, and I won't discuss the merits. But as a taxpayer enters the voting booth next week, in the back of his or her mind will be the impact of a yes vote ultimately down the road on the mill rate, if you will. If you look at what the finance director has said, that could be as much as 8.6% increase in taxes spread out over 5 years. So a voter entering the voting booth next week cannot separate this budget from that 8.6% down the road that will be phased in. And I think that's a concern. I think that's going to put pressure on that referendum in 2 months. I would like to see a little bit more effort to hold the line on these year-to-year operating expense increases, if you will, as a good faith effort to recognize how we're going to phase in ultimately the new high school. Also of concern is a strategic matter, which is right now, if you look at the town of Farmington, we are 4, 5, 6. If you want to bring in West Hartford, we're 10 mills below everybody else in tax rate. That gives us a strategic advantage because if a business is going to locate, they would rather locate in Farmington than in West Hartford with a high tax rate. But between this increase and the potentially coming increase, we will now edge up to Avon, Plainville, several other towns, maybe not as bad as West Hartford, but that it will put us at a less advantage in terms of growing our tax base. So I would just like to express my concern that the average taxpayer is going to see this and the coming referendum, cannot separate the two, and I fear a negative outcome in 2 months. Thank you.
Sir, thank you for coming out this evening. Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that wishes to ask a question or make a statement? Question, statement, left, right, left, last call. Okay. Failing to see anybody signify they want to be heard, I'm going to next, may I have a motion to move the next item contained in the warning that the town of Farmington appropriate $1,284,000 for the Irving A. Robbins Middle School Cafeteria Expansion Project and authorizes the same amount in borrowing to finance the project. May I have a motion to waive the reading of the resolution for this item? There are copies of it up right outside the auditorium. Is there a motion to waive the reading? Thank you. And a second? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The motion carries. We're waiving the reading. I'm now going to call upon Kathy Blonsky, the town manager, regarding this motion number 3.
There are 3 bond questions for the April 29th budget referendum. $1,284,000 for the Irving A. Robbins addition and renovation project, $450,000 for the partial roof replacement at Noah Wallace School, and $2 million for road reconstruction. The first bond question is for $1,284,000 for Irving A. Robbins addition and renovation. Superintendent Greeter described the project in her presentation. Even though each of the questions will be shown individually on the ballot, they would be financed as a group. Financed this way, the debt service for fiscal year 22-23 results in a tax increase of $17.49 to the average assessed home at $226,777. In the future years, because of the drop-off in existing debt service and the reevaluation, it is projected that there will not be an additional tax impact due to these 3 projects. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. As to that motion 3, does anyone wish to be heard? Same protocol. Go to the microphones, name, address. Left, right, left, last call. Okay, we're going to move on to the next motion. Anybody? Okay. Give me just a moment. Okay. May I have a motion to move the 6th item contained in the warning that the town of Farmington appropriate $450,000 for the Noah Wallace School partial roof replacement project and authorizes the same amount in borrowing to finance the project. Do we have a motion? Anybody?
So moved.
And a second? Okay, now, second part of that. May I have a motion to waive the reading of the resolution for this item? Copies are available outside the auditorium. Do we have a motion to waive the reading? And a second? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Kathy Blonsky, Town Manager.
The second bond question is for $450,000 for a partial roof replacement at Noah Wallace School. Superintendent Greeter described the project in her presentation. Again, even though each of the questions will be shown individually on the ballot, they would be financed as a group. Financed this way, the debt service for 22-23 results in a tax increase of $17.49 to the average assessed home at $226,777. In the future years, because of the drop-off of the existing debt services and the revaluation, it is projected that there will not be an additional tax impact due to these 3 projects. Thank you.
Perhaps I shouldn't have sat down. Does anyone have any questions? Same protocol. Anyone have any questions regarding this motion? I'd ask that you go to the microphones in the aisle, state your name, your address. Left, right, left, last call. Okay, not seeing anybody indicating they want to be heard on this. Next, may I have a motion to move the 7th item contained in the warning that the town of Farmington appropriate $2 million for repairs to and reconstruction of various roads and drainage systems and authorizes the same amount in borrowing to finance the replacements. A motion, please? Thank you. A second? Second part of this, may I have a motion to waive the reading of the resolution for this item? Again, copies are available on the table outside the auditorium. Do I have a motion? And a second? Second, thank you very much. All those in favor of that motion to waive the reading, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll now call upon Kathleen Blonsky, our town manager.
The third question includes bonding, a bonding question to appropriate $2 million to repair and reconstruction of various town roads and drainage systems. This slide shows the proposed streets to be paved. In round 1, it's Oak Ridge, Dunwood Court, Round 2 is Devonwood Drive from the Route 4 to the gazebo and Cambridge Crossing gazebo to the Phase 4 line. Round 3 is Blue Ridge Drive, Ridgefield Drive, Shady Lane, Woodruff Road, Robin Road, and Berkshire Drive and Winterwood Terrace are pending due to the potential water main extension. In Round 4 is West District, Bella Lane, Whispering Rod, Redcoat Lane, Silversmith, Mohawk Drive, Back Court, Pickett Lane, Keene Place, Burnt Hill Road, Hickory Lane, Valley View Drive, and Cedar Ridge Drive. It should be noted that although specific roads are listed to be completed, this list is subject to change due to the various external factors. Again, as I stated previously, even though each of these questions will be shown individually on the ballot, they would be financed as a group, and financed this way, the debt service would result in a tax increase of $17.49 to the average home, assessed at $226,777. Thank you.
Thank you again. Anyone wish to be heard on this motion, please come to a microphone, state your name, your address. Left, right, left, anybody want to be heard on this motion? Okay, I see no response. Let's see. The last, is there any other business to come before the town meeting tonight? Anyone? Anything else? Anything else? No, okay. In a moment, I'm going to ask for a motion that this annual town meeting be adjourned to referendum vote on resolutions considered pursuant to the items in the annual town meeting notice. That vote is to be held on Thursday, April 29th, 2021, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. at the polling places indicated in the notice. Once again, I'd like to thank Board of Ed for all their hard work, the Town Council for all their hard work, and for anyone that showed this evening, you are the hardiest of the hardy. So thank you for coming out. It's really, it's hard to come out, but I'm just so happy that we're back and coming back. So. In terms of the motion to adjourn, I need a motion. We're not leaving till we get that motion. Yes, sir. And a second? Second, I heard a second, I think. Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. See you on the 29th. Thank you, everyone.